Everybody, today's case is going to be Missy Bevers at the request of a lot of people. Missy was murdered on the 18th of April 2016 around about 5 a.m. At Creekside Church in Midlothian, Texas. She was a fitness instructor. She arrived early at the church to set up ready for her class, and this person here was inside the church. He was caught on camera at 4:18 a.m, so that's the time I'm going to use. This person murdered Missy Bevers, and her students, her class, found her. So let's have a look at the chart and see what it says. Okay, so as always, we always look to the ascendant to represent the victim, Missy. That is 29 degrees Aquarius. So we've got a 29 degree ascendant and descendant, which is never good, as you know if you've watched my videos. So Aquarius at 29 degrees, the ruler of Aquarius is Saturn. So Saturn represents Missy. Then over here on the descendant is the perpetrator. That's 29 degrees of Leo. The ruler of Leo is the Sun. So that is the perpetrator. Now the Sun is very close to 29 degrees itself. So it's making an aspect to the perpetrator. So it's very clear that obviously this person in the shot did this at this time. The chart just reflects that. So because it's 29 degrees on the ascendant, we've got a lot of Pisces in the first house. So we're going to look at Pisces as well for Missy. Now, the ruler of Pisces in traditional is Jupiter. The co-ruler of Missy is the Moon. And then the modern ruler of Pisces is Neptune in the first house. So just looking at this, what can I see? Firstly, looking at the suspect over here, 29 degrees of Leo tells me that this is a man. The Sun, so the man, is sitting in the second house of money, which immediately indicates something to do with money. Robbery, possibly. Now, Saturn, which is Missy, is right up there in the 10th house, out in the open. Neptune is in the first house, right in front of everyone and in the open again. Jupiter, being the co-ruler of Pisces here, in the 7th house of the perpetrator, shows that she's right in the way of the perpetrator. So we have a lot of indicators showing us that she's right there in front of him. Now, what I feel from this, the Moon and Jupiter being retrograde as well, Saturn is retrograde. Saturn is making an aspect to Venus in Aries, in the 2nd house as well. Venus is money also. It seems to me that she has interrupted a robbery. I think that he went there with the intention of stealing something, Whether it was the first, second, third, fourth place, I'm not sure, that it maybe he attempted to go to. But to me, this chart shows me pretty clearly, actually, that he went there to rob the place. Missy was right out in the open, right there, in the way. If we use this area here for Missy, she's in his path. And the moon and Jupiter, Missy here, is in this grand trine with Pluto and Mercury. Mercury's in the 3rd house on the 3rd house cusp. So this shows me that what the suspect was doing was travelling around. He's ended up at a church, which is actually very much represented by this area here. But this triangle here, it's like he's driven around in order to find the right place to rob. Now, Mercury is in Taurus as well. Oops. Taurus is the natural ruler of the 2nd house and money. So again, that's like driving around, because he was there's footage of him in the car as well. So driving around looking for somewhere to rob. I really think, unfortunately, that Missy was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now, what we can do is, well, it's hard to get an idea of the suspect because he's dressed up in a police uniform. So he's concealing himself, obviously, in case he's going to get caught robbing the place. That's my opinion. When I look at Saturn, which represents Missy, and rightly so, because Saturn represents the deceased body, so that's showing us that. This aspect here to Venus, being money, it's so tight, it's at 15 degrees, both of them, and right next to Uranus, which is sudden, really quick, and then he's just right there. So I think all of a sudden, bam, she's right in front of him, and I actually think that she probably tried to stop him doing whatever he was doing. I think she was defending the place, the church, herself. And I think that the weapon that he's used, and interestingly, the weapon is ruled by Mars, and it's in the house of the church, the 9th house. Never do a 9. I think he brought this weapon in order to break whatever he needed to steal things. But it's very quickly turned into him hitting her with it, because she was right there, so quickly, right there in front of him. If we want to do a bit of a physical profile on this guy, 29 degrees of Leo and the Sun gives somebody roughly 40 or older, a little bit older. So that's the age group. The Sun is at 28, nearly 29 degrees of Aries, so this is a bigger person, somebody that's strong, just naturally strong. They're not tall, but they're quite solid. Now, I know none of that's going to really help because this person's wearing a disguise and we don't know who it is, and it was 5 years ago, so that it's going to be extremely, extremely hard to find this person. But something that I can say is that I'm almost 100% sure that he's been arrested previously for robberies around that area. So I don't know whether they looked into that. I'm sure they would have. I would hope so. Because to me, this is somebody that is pretty skilled at robbery and has done it before. So there's not really a whole lot much more to say, unfortunately. I don't think it's a woman in the video. There's no indication of it being a woman. There's every indication of it being a man, an older man, somebody that knows how to rob places. Now, why he went into a church to rob it, I don't know. I mean, maybe there's the donations. You know, that's a bit of a strange thing. But I don't believe, through looking at this, that it was premeditated. A female, her husband, anybody she knew, actually. I think this was a stranger attack that happened really quickly, out of the blue, and he has a history. And I also believe that he lives, or lived, in that area, very close by. If he didn't live further than 11 miles away, I'd be surprised. The reason I said that is the end of the matter, 11. So, yeah, I'm going to leave that there. It's a bit of a shorter one, but that's what the chart says. And I do think that that is the case. Unfortunately, I think Missy was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Okay, guys, until the next one, take care.